Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the presentation on avoiding the mistakes that most new traders make. My name is Gail Mercer. I'm the founder of TradersHelpDesk.com, and I will be your hostess for this morning. Now, before we get started, I would like everyone to take a moment to read over the Nadex risk disclaimer. Basically, anytime you are trading, there is risk involved, even with Nadex binary options and spreads. So you should never trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. Now, for those that are new to these presentations, again, my name is Gail Mercer, and I have more than 15 years of trading experience. I started out with a company that programmed indicators and really simply fell in love with the price bar. I do specialize in price action, volume analysis, and divergence because I believe they are leading indicators. I'm also a frequent contributor for Stocks and Commodities Magazine, Traders World, and Top Shelf Magazine. I've also been a prior speaker at Traders Expo, Traders World Online Expo, and the Wyckoff Volume Conference. I'm also the author of Trading Nadex Binary Options Using Currencies, Trading Nadex Binary Options, Keeping It Simple Strategies, as well as the New Trader's Guide to Trading Nadex Binary Options and Spreads. Now, the number one reason that most traders fail, it's not because of indicators on markets. It's actually because they don't have a plan for their trading business. Now, why does that matter? Because new traders are in a learning phase and they're really unsure of what works and what doesn't work. Even though they know that trading incurs losses, they are actually very ill prepared to lose money. Then, if they do make money, they'll get greedy and they opt not to take the profits when they are offered. They also fail to maintain records which could potentially identify where they need to improve in their trading plan. Now, when you are formulating a plan for trading, you should incorporate your business hours and products. You should include money management, your hardware, software essentials, entry rules, exit rules, and risk limits. Now, a lot of people will do this mentally, but actually science shows that when you write it out, it actually promotes a more logical thinking, and you'll have a lot of questions that come up that need to be addressed in order for you to complete your trading plan. Now, let's look at an example of formulating your business hours in your products. Okay, the first question is, what time of the day will you be trading? Will it be during Asia, during London, during the US? All of these would have different movements. For example, typically the slowest session is Asia. The medium movement would be London, and of course the fastest movement would be the opening of the US session. From 8 to 12 is usually when the markets move the most. So what time frame are you going to want to trade? Now, I know a lot of new traders will choose the US session because it's a lot of movement. But if you're a new trader, you may actually want to start with Asia or maybe even London. Let's say that you're a night person and you live on the West Coast, okay? Again, London would probably be your better time for trading. Which markets will you focus on? Will it be the indices? Will it be commodities? Will it be forex? And again, this will be also dependent on what hours you are going to be trading. For example, the indices, if you're trading at night, you would need to use a daily expiration. The same thing with commodities. But on the forex side, there's several forex symbols that would be available for you to trade even in the evenings. How well do you know your markets? Okay, let's say that you want to trade the Aussie dollar. Okay, what are the correlations with the Aussie? In other words, is there another market that will cause a movement in the Aussie? What are the typical movement size? How does the market move? Does it move in points or pips? Or is there a certain number of ticks that equal a point? Good example of this. On the Aussie dollar, it moves in pips. And 1 pip is actually one increment in price up to the 4th digit. The 5th digit is considered a half pip. The Dow Jones, it moves in points. There are no ticks. Each tick equals a point, okay? But the NASDAQ, there's 4 increments in price that actually equal a point. So there's some research there that you need to do to find out, okay, how does each of these markets move? And is the market liquid? Crude oil is going to be more liquid than, let's say, natural gas. Gold will probably be more liquid than what silver is. So, how many contracts are you planning to trade? Does it have that liquidity? A great example of this is the US 500 or the underlying ES. A lot of people trade the underlying ES because of liquidity. In other words, if you're going to go in with 200 contracts, you really want to do it on the US 500 or the ES versus maybe the NASDAQ, where you may want to only go in with a lower number of contracts. Okay, so there's a lot of research that goes in just on identifying your business hours and your products. If you don't know any of these questions, if you cannot answer them, then chances are you need to go back and do some research. Now, money management guidelines. You have to identify your account size. If you're going to start off, let's say with $1,000, okay, do not risk more than 5% of your account, and if your account number changes, let's say you go from 1,000 to 900, or you go from 1,000 to 1,500, you can change that risk according to what your account size is. Now, in this example, I'm showing you if you have $1,000 risk, if you're using that 5% margin, then your risk appetite is only $50. So that means if you're using an at the money, then that's one contract you can trade. If you're using an out of the money and you limit your risk to $25 per contract, you could trade 20 contracts. If you're thinking about doing deep in the money, then $1,000 would not be sufficient to do deep in the money binaries, okay? Because most of the risk on those is 75. Now, you may say, well, I'm not going to lose the 75. One thing about Nadex that it should teach you very quickly is you're paying your risk on entry, okay? That's the maximum you can lose. And there will be times that you cannot get out before losing that maximum risk. So you have to pay attention to that. Now, if your trading capital increases or decreases, again, you increase your risk or you decrease it according to what your risk is. A great example, if you started with 1,000, but you went down to 900, well, your maximum risk is now $45. That means you can either trade one at the money using a $45 limit, and that means you may or may not be filled, or you have to use out of the money binary options. Okay? Now, what about your hardware or your software needs? Okay? Are you going to use a computer? Are you going to use an iPad? Are you going to use an iPhone? How well are you at using these devices? And this is one that a lot of traders do not pay attention to. For example, if you're going to be trading using the computer, how well do you know your platform? How well do you know Windows? Because I'm here to tell you right now, anything that can go wrong will likely go wrong. So you really need to make sure that you're proficient with these devices, okay? Do you know how to shut down? Do you know how to restart? As simple as that may seem to some of you, it can be harder for those that are new to these devices. Now, Nadex, learn the platform. When you go into Nadex demo, they have videos on doing everything in Nadex, how to insert an indicator, how to change the time frames, how to enter an order, how to set a limit order, how to exit the binary, okay? Really go through these. Practice in your demo, okay? Learn to use the platform to your advantage. You know, look at all of their technical analysis indicators. Can you insert them? Do you need to change the input? You need to know all of this information if you are going to be successful. And an analogy I like to use is if I want to be a carpenter, I need to know how to use a hammer. I need to use a saw. I need to use screwdrivers and pliers. Now, if I don't take the time to learn how to use my tools, I'm not going to be very successful, okay? Same thing applies to trading. If you do not learn to use the tools that Nadex provides for you, it's going to be hard to be successful, okay? Now, develop your entry rules, okay? In this case, this is an example. You say, okay, I'm going to use a 15-minute chart with a 2-hour binary. The minimum time until expiration is 1 hour and 15 minutes, okay? That means I need 5 15-minute bars remaining. A long entry criteria is simple. Price forms a reversal bar at a low. The stochastics indicates divergence to the upside. Now, just with those two statements, okay, I know I have to learn how to read price bars. I need to know what reversal bars are, and I need to know how to read divergence, okay? So that means I'm going to have to practice doing this on the live edge for a period of time until I can do it automatically. And I don't mean look over at my rules and then look back to the chart. I mean, it's automatic. I don't even have to think about it. It has become automatic for me. A short entry. Price forms a reversal bar at a high. Stochastics indicates divergence to the downside. Again, what two skills do I need to identify this short entry? Well, I need to know how to read reversal bars, and I need to know how to read divergence. If I cannot do either of these, then I cannot use these entry criteria. Then, one step further, I enter one strike out of the money with risk less than $30 per contract. Okay, that means I need to know what an out of the money binary option is for both a long and a short position. Okay, if I'm doing a long entry, then I know one strike out of the money is one strike above the at the money. If I'm doing a short entry, that means it's one strike below where price is currently trading because I'm going short. Now, what about the exit rules? Okay, well, I'm going to set a profit target at 75, but then I'm also going to watch it. If price moves 8 pips in my direction, then I'm going to take profits. Now that means if I'm trading, again, the Aussie US dollar, if I went one strike out, that's 4 pips. If it goes 8 pips, that means it's one strike above where my out of the money was. So my out of the money has become at the money, and price moved above it one additional strike. Okay, or let's say the reversal bar forms right as it moved 8 pips in my direction. You could put that as an exit, okay? The main thing is to remember what your job is as a trader. And basically, it is to take profits, okay, and limit risk. Well, Nadex has provided you the opportunity to limit your risk. So now your job to focus on is taking profits when they're offered. And, you know, for example, this week, a lot of the trades have moved exactly 8 pips in your direction and then reversed. Why? Because it's moving in a consolidation period because we have FOMC today. Okay, so if you were not taking your jobs, you probably would have lost on your binary options. Again, develop your exit rules. Now, again, not only do you have a risk parameter within your money management guidelines, but you also have a risk parameter on each and every trade. In this case, in this trading plan, the risk is less than $30 per trade. And if you lose $90 in a single day, which is 3 losing trades, you stop trading. You get up and you walk away. It could be that the market is not conducive to your entry today. It could be that there's something that you're not seeing. Maybe you're not trading your plan like you should. Just get up and walk away. Okay? Now, you can also calculate your numbers using your worst case risk scenarios to determine your target profitability. Okay? Now, what does that mean? It means if your plan has a 50% profitable percentage, will the end result be positive or negative? Okay, work the numbers, all right? If you're risking 75 to make 25, no. You're using a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 0.33. That means if you do 100 trades, then 50 of those lost. That would be a negative 3,750. If you won 50%, you would make 1,250, but your P&L would be negative 2,500, excluding exchange fees. Let's say that you're risking 50 to make 50. That's a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Again, if you're using a 100 trade scenario, then you would just be at break even, and that's excluding exchange fees. Okay, so now you know if you're doing 50 to 50, okay, meaning $50 a risk to make 50, you need to go higher than a 50% profitable percentage. Okay, now what if you're risking 45 to make 55? Okay, in that case, that one would work because it's 1 to 1.2. So after 100 trades, you would still be positive $300. Now, this is just looking at a real scenario, okay, to say, hey, I know when I go into my demo and I'm trading my plan, this is the percentage that I need to try to achieve. Now, sometimes you can maybe get more than a 1 to 1.2. Sometimes you will get less because remember, your job is to take profits. But at the end of a month, what is your percentage? What is your risk to reward ratio? Using these numbers, you can actually at the end of it sit down and say, hey, this is going to work or this is not going to work for me. I need to reevaluate my plan. But this is, again, is what a lot of traders fail to do, okay? They don't keep a trade journal, okay? In a trade journal is actually where you have your trading log there, where you take every trade, you put the risk down, and you put your profits down, which automatically is captured through Nadex. I actually encourage my clients to capture screenshots of every trade on entry and on exit. Then you take your trading plan and you say, okay, how well did I do at following my rules? Okay, how can I improve? Maybe I entered too early. I decided not to wait for the reversal bar. Okay, that's something that I can improve upon. Maybe I entered too late. Again, something that I need to improve on. Maybe I forgot to set my target. Maybe I wasn't watching the markets. Maybe I exited just because it was losing at that particular moment in time. Okay, all of this is stuff that you can capture when you're tracking your trades. Okay, and it gives you an area where you can say, okay, these are the areas I need to improve on. Now, you know, a lot of traders participate in what I call the blame game. You know, that, well, Nadex trades against you. No, they don't. They don't even participate in the trades. They simply match buyers with sellers, okay? And the market makers, you know, they're there to provide liquidity for us. So I like the market makers, okay? You know, some people think the markets are out to get you. They're not, you know. It's just either prices are going up, they're going down, or they're going sideways, okay? You have to focus on controlling the things that you can control. You can control your risk, you can control your entry, you can control your exit. You cannot control anything else. You cannot control the market. Each moment in the market presents an opportunity for the markets to move, but that does not mean that they will move or that they will continue to move in your direction. Again, you cannot control the market, but you can participate by using binary options to limit your risk, which to me, that's what trading is all about. Because if you learn to control your risk, then the profits eventually start coming in. Now, my website is tradershelpdesk.com. My email is gm@tradershelpdesk.com. And does anybody have any questions today? If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them for you. You will be surprised when you sit down and actually start developing a plan, how many details you find that you have missed in the past. And trading to me is all about the details. It's about looking to say, hey, is this feasible? Will it make money? Because, you know, it's really all about numbers, whether it's probability numbers or whether it's risk or anything else. It's just sitting down, making the numbers work for you. I always said I wasn't going to be the world's greatest trader, so I really needed something that would work at 50%. Okay, if there are no questions, I do appreciate all of you joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you at the next presentation.